Welcome back, everybody. SF Live, episode 140 today. It's Discovery Thursday, and we brought a really interesting company in the Kirkland Camp or Kirkland Lake Camp area today, or we're showcasing that one today. And I'll be joined in a couple seconds by Daniele Spethmann, and I said it in German because she spells her last name with two N's, and she's the CEO of Warrior Gold. And I just see it's not White Horse Gold, it's Warrior Gold. So I'm really excited to have her on. Ticker is WAR, and of course this is an interactive format. So make sure to use the hashtag function AskWar at WAR, as I said, is the company ticker on the Toronto Stock Exchange. So make sure you use that on Twitter, or you just use the YouTube chat as well, and maybe be informed. Make sure to follow us on YouTube, follow us on Twitter, follow us on LinkedIn. Hit that little subscribe button, hit that little like button, and turn that little notification bell on. That way you get notified when we go live with another update. We do all our interviews live, and that way you have, as an investor, a bit of an information advantage, because sometimes we discuss breaking news right on this program, and CEOs drop the odd little nugget here and there that you might not have been aware of before, and that way you have that advantage. Now, let me switch over to Daniele. Daniele, wonderful. Good morning. Thanks for coming on SF Live. How are you?
I'm well, Kai. How are you?
Not too great. Before we get started, I got to thank you for this. This is pretty awesome. You send me a bouquet. Like, it's not a
Yeah.
bouquet, it's a bouquet. So it's I'm not sure if you could see that on the camera, but it's a couple. It's like 3 beers and a snack. So really appreciate that. It's my birthday today, and it's really appreciated. So thanks for
Oh, well, you're
sending.
welcome, and happy birthday. Yeah, that's from my guy on the West Coast who got that organized.
He's
That
a
so
rock star because
I
I
know.
recognize two of the beers already, and I know I'm going to enjoy those later today. So it's much appreciated.
Great.
Thanks so much, Sean. It's great to have you on. We've known each other for a little bit now, and we haven't talked in a while, unfortunately. But Brent Cook actually introduced us like 3 or 4 years ago at Beaver Creek, and he said, like, Danielle, somebody I like talking to. She's a bright woman. She's a great geologist. Somebody you should follow and look at. And here we are. Let's talk Warrior Gold. And before we dive into some of the details, let's give us a quick 30, 60-second rundown on Warrior Gold. Like, who are you? What are you doing?
Okay, so high level view. Warrior Gold is a junior exploration company with I like to say, fantastic project in the Kirkland Lake Gold Camp of the Abitibi Stone Belt. We have a very large and prospective property that we've been working hard at over the last several years. We lie 6 kilometers north of the Cadillac Larder Lake Deformation Zone, which is the major structure that's provided all the gold into the camp. 8 kilometers from Kirkland Lake Gold's Macassa mine, and 15 kilometers away from Agnico Eagle's Upper Beaver. So we're in the right neighborhood. As well, we are 10 minutes from downtown Kirkland Lake, which means all the infrastructure's in place. Our team gets to go home at night. We aren't building a camp or negotiating any helicopter contracts. And we get to drive to work. I get to drive from downtown to Toronto to Kirkland Lake. When I come to site, it's a 6 hour drive. So a bit of a
And you are
dream.
pretty much on site. You are in Kirkland Lake right now.
Yes, I am. We're just wrapping up. I should have added, we've just finished a diamond drilling program in January, 3,000 meters. So core is being logged and cut as we speak, which is one of the reasons
Fantastic.
why
Yeah,
I'm
you're
here.
taking away quite a few of my questions already, but we're going to dive into some more details because I want to know, what holes did you drill? Where did you drill them? But we're going to get to the projects in a minute. Let's talk about you for another second here. Give us a bit of an overview, because like when Brent Cook praises you as a good geologist, like, how does he know? Like, what's your claim to fame?
How does he know? That's a really good. Brent, how do you know? No, I'm just kidding. Brent and I met in Venezuela a whole bunch of years ago. We met on the Choco 10 project, and I was there with my husband. So we are very much exploration geologists. Roll up your sleeves, get the job done. We demothballed the Choco 10 project, which went on to, they made a discovery there. And then I was very fortunate. I got to work with the early exploration team that led to the discovery of the FDN project in Ecuador. So Steve Leary, Tom Nealon. So we were there. So we've been there. All of that to say, I'm an exploration geologist. I love what I do. I've been very fortunate to do what I do, and I know the process, the discipline, and the thrill of
Lots
exploration
of good information in there, and
and discovery
FDN
and
actually is Fruta
discovery.
del Norte, in case people missed that one, right? So we sometimes we get caught up in our own lingo, so got to clarify that one. And that's a massive project. That's a Lundin Gold's project now, and in production as of last year. So that's fantastic. let's before we get dive into the Goodfish Karma or Kirana property there as well in your troll program, let's talk about capital structure first. And let's get us all on an
Okay.
even playing field there. Can you catch us up on the capital structure? How many shares do you have out, cash, and then we're going to talk about your management position as well and stuff like that.
Okay. So right now we have 92 million shares out, 18 million warrants. We're fully diluted at about 117 million shares. Management and insiders own 9%, of which I own 7%. I earned all my shares. None of them were free. I participate in financings. I buy in the open market. And so between my husband and I, we have about 7% of the company. Uh, Warrants, 18 million. Some are coming due in March and April of this year, March and May of this year, about 5.5 million at 15 cents. And then the next ones are coming due in December and then of June of next year, all at 10 and 15 cents,
Who
more or
owns those
less.
warrants? Do you have some more details on that? Is it just retail or the bigger investors? I'm assuming you're holding some of those.
Yeah, yeah, I'm holding some.
Some,
Yeah,
just a couple.
yeah, more than some. Yes, me some, but also, Warrior Gold shareholders are mostly high net worths that know the industry, know the business. Our directors are very well connected. They have a lot of friends who have made a lot of money in the business. So uh, that's our shareholder base. We don't brag or boast about anybody yet at this time. Nobody owns us yet, which is sort of how we want to keep it until we get to a more robust share
That sounds
price.
good.
How's
Yeah.
that?
Cash in the bank right now. How much was it?
Oh yeah, cash in the bank. We raised $1 million in December, and we are doing a super good job of spending it in the ground, which is the upside to Kirkland Lake. So right now we're at about $500,000, and core is being cut, core is being assayed. Yeah, we will eventually be going to market, and we're assessing our options right now, which, what are we going to do? Strategic partner, royalty, and/or combination of that and a private placement.
Okay,
And
good point. Because that $500,000 leads me sort of to the plans for this year, and now knowing that you've drilled 3,000 meters, you're obviously waiting for results to plan for the rest of this year. Let's talk about Goodfish Kirana then first. Let's catch us up on the project first, and give us a bit of a history because I know you've been working on it for a while now. How did you acquire the project, and history of the project, pretty much.
okay, so credit where credit's due. We started to consolidate the land package when nobody had any interest in gold exploration. 2013, the first people who get credit for it are a prospector from the Kirkland Lake camp, Tom O'Connor, Gary Grabowski, Tom Nealons. Those are all guys who recognize the potential of putting together a very significant 11 and a half kilometer long by 3.5 kilometer wide land package in a highly prospective camp. And because it had never been put together before, and there are 7 or 8 different landowners, it had never been looked at with that view. Um, so 2013 to 2017, consolidate the land, get all the historical data into a data room. And then 2018, we were very fortunate. We became a publicly traded company. We merged with a Vancouver company, War Eagle. And then in September of 2018, we rebranded to Warrior Gold. And then since then, we've been off to the races. And we've done most of our drilling since then.
Yeah, how
Yeah.
much have you invested in the project so far? Like, how much money has gone into the ground?
Since we've become a public company, we've put about $5 million into the ground. We've drilled just under 11,000 meters. We flew immediately when we became a public company. We did a small drilling program because we hadn't done any drilling on the Goodfish. And we flew a mag and VTEM survey at 50-meter line spacing. So we got it nice and detailed and tight, 90 meters above the ground. And so that was the icing on the cake, right? That we had all these gold showings, we had the LiDAR, but we needed to tighten up the
Yeah,
geological
tightening up
story.
the geological story. That's a very good point because you drilled now. What did you base your drilling on before we talk about where you put the holes? Like what? So you mentioned the geophysical survey, of course, and like what came out of it, like, and what have you targeted now in this program?
Okay, so So at the beginning, when we just became a public company, we got the geologists, geophysics, physicists, structural geologists all in the same room. And we took the data that we had, and Melissa Render, who was our principal geologist, she had it all in Leapfrog, and they sat down for a day and a half and they assessed the merits of the property, which is really long, Kai. I mean, 11 and a half kilometers is like going from Wall Street to the top end of Central Park long. And what we're trying to find there in the Abitibi is only 300 meters by 100 meters that goes 2 kilometers deep. So they sat there and they checked all the boxes, what's important, geology, geophysics, geochemistry, structure, mostly structure, and they came up and they identified 22 targets. And of course, the top 2 targets were the A zone, the originally named A zone, and C zone. But that's because there were historical shafts there. And you got to know that in the 30s, when people took out a pick, took the rock out of the ground, it was for a reason. So, of course, those ones float to the top automatically. Is it the next Macassa? Who knows? But I mean, they float to the top. So that's where our efforts have been most
Fantastic.
recently.
And you already had you did some drilling in last year in 19 as well, right? In 19 and 20 as well, some holes. How many meters have you drilled in the past? How much have you, how many meters? Yeah.
So yeah, so up until our most recent drill program, we did about 8,000 meters, most of it at the A and the C zone, a couple of holes into the Deloy and one into the B zone, and all along the Goodfish Trend for the most part. We like to say that on that first 8,000 meters, we were batting 9 for 10. We had we had anomalous or high grade gold, and 90% of those hold. Our most recent program, 3,000 meters, January, and I'm just going to shout out, we had the best drillers ever. Yeah, we did 120
Wow.
meters a shift on average moves. Yeah, I know. And that's the other thing about Kirkland Lake, right? I mean, the rig mobs from Quebec here by noon, it's on the ground. By 5 o'clock, set up the next morning they're drilling. But anyway, so we just did 3,000 meters, and most of that was on the A zone. We went up to the C zone, but we came back to the A.
And run us through some historical results. Run us through some drill results from last year. Like looking at the share price, like, yeah, and I've got the results in front of me, of course, but it wasn't something that the results didn't excite the market. It wasn't like 10 meters of 150 grams of gold or something, right? Like what did you learn? What did you see? Run us through some of the historic results, and why are you on the right track now?
Oh, why are we on the right track? Okay, Kai.
I got time.
Okay,
I got time.
You know what our friend you got time. Yeah, you know what our friend Brent Cook says, right? Everybody, this is what's hard about the Abitibi. It's not about finding gold in the Abitibi. Anybody and their sister, or everyone and their sister, has a quartz vein with a fleck of gold. It's about finding the gold. And if you know anything about the Abitibi, you know that it opens up at depth. So below 300 meters, things start to blow up. I don't have the exact answer why, and a whole lot of people don't have the exact answer why. We started to drill at the A zone because in the 90s, a group had drilled 12 and a half meters of 17 grams. And that was right where the historic shaft was. And you know the market needs drill results. They don't care about what else it is that we do to make this a better story. And I think that that's one of our strengths as a company. We've got a fantastic technical team, and we are working to put together a very solid scientific foundation, because people like my friends would call me out if I did anything less than put together a really decent story, why we're drilling, where we're drilling. So our results have gone from anomalous to high grade. You know, I know the market says things like, narrow veins. If you know the Abitibi, you know that it's small at the beginning, and you have to have patience and get it.
No,
right?
so then run us through the 3,000 meter program that you just drilled. How deep did you target, and how many holes was it in total? Actually, like how did you distribute the meters?
Well, originally it was going to be 15 holes, but between the A zone and the C zone, and we were going to hit, if you look, I'm going to just, our website has got fantastic video at a great corporate presentation, and you'll see the long section there. And we're trying to figure out where that high grade zone goes. So the first hole targeted that, and then we went along the A zone structure, and we went up to the C, but then we decided to come back down to the A. So we did 12 holes in total, and we went back into one of the holes to cross over the A zone
Okay.
structure.
So most of the focus was then A zone, not much on C. It was all over there. Okay.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
how deep did you
yeah,
drill
for
in
now.
total? Like how deep did the deepest hole go?
Okay. And we're still relatively shallow for the Abitibi. We're at about 350. The deepest hole was at about
Yeah.
450
My
meters.
notes say to ask you about hole 28 and what was significant about hole 28, because it seems like it hit something massive, while the holes around it didn't hit too much. It was more marginal, right? So
Right.
what was significant about hole 28?
Well, hole 28 is super interesting because uh, when the geologists looked at it, they went, there's nothing there, which is why you sample top to bottom in the Abitibi. And it really did. When you look at the rocks, and it too is in the PowerPoint photograph, it's underformed quartz calcite veins, narrow. Yeah, we hit 72, 74 meters of 1.2 grams per ton, and then there were narrower high grade zones. So that is all visible gold, completely different from what the A zone structure is, which is sheared, altered, brecciated, sericite. Sometimes it looks crazy, broken up, runts, and then sometimes it doesn't. So again, it's still early days in this story, and that hole 28, which is now called the Val 1, is part of us unraveling what's going on at the A
Gotcha.
zone.
Time to take a bit of a discourse, and only for a minute. But you mentioned something in your corporate description, and it's part of the presentation as well. I think is that you put the land package together that was never assembled like that before. It was always way too fragmented. And one thing is nobody's ever done really modern exploration on it. So my question is like, how do you define modern exploration? Like, what is modern, and what has changed over the years that you would describe? Okay, this is modern exploration. And you hinted at like the old timers going down shafts with a pickaxe, manual and manual digging gold, or like of course there has been an evolution since then. But I was going to ask you, since you're a geologist, like what's modern exploration for you?
Okay, so first, oh, yeah, I mean, that's such a big question. That would take up a huge amount of time. Uh, just like this, presenting like this is modern. Uh, you know, Back in the day, we used to color maps and put marks on it. And not that I'm discounting that work, that was brilliant work, but all of the data has gone into 3D. So just imagine what it's like to dive down a drill hole and actually understand where it is you are in 3D space. Understanding 3D space takes a special kind of mind, which is why geologists like Brent and I are magic people. No, I'm just kidding. But but all the tools too, right? The detection limits at the labs, the way the mag and VLF, or geophysics is being done, tellurics. Those are all highly. They
Yeah.
keep changing, right? They keep getting more and more refined.
Okay.
That's
I
modern,
mean,
right?
just maybe in the last 5 years, last 10 years, have you seen a dramatic change? Has there been a big new invention or innovation in that space? Is 3D the big thing? I think we had it to a degree, but now it's just faster computers and better graphics cards.
Yeah, yeah.
But
No, it's no, it's completely different. Melissa and Sue, our principal geos, they look at everything on a
yeah,
screen now. It's rare that anything is printed out. The plotter at the office hardly gets used. And not that I wouldn't do it, but I'm
yeah.
saying that a lot of work happens on the screen now. So that's a big shift in how people
Okay.
used to
So,
do things.
apologies for the discourse, but I was really interested in that and what your perspective on that is.
Yep. Oh,
Yeah.
but
Go ahead.
let's not forget to add that we still need
Oh, that
boots on the
doesn't
ground.
change. You need visual confirmation, right? Yeah.
Totally. That will
Yeah.
never ever
You
change.
mentioned financing opportunities or options. One of them you mentioned, like you mentioned a bunch, but the royalties was one of them. Any royalties on the project already?
Yeah, we have 1.25% to 1.5%. As I mentioned, there was a bunch of different landowners. So they put the when we put the land package together, that was part of it. So we can buy back 1%. So that's to about seven different people. And that's it. And then Warrior Gold has acquired ground and added onto it, and that's all royalty
Fantastic.
free.
And yeah. Lap times. I knew there was a last one I was going to ask you about because we're coming up to our time limit. So I wanted to ask you about lap turnaround times.
Good.
Have you secured any lap time in Kirkland Lake, or are you just praying for the lap gods to work quickly and swiftly?
Uh, Praying for the live gods to work quickly and swiftly. We are using ALS. I'm just shout out in Timmins, and they pick up our core Monday and Wednesdays. And you have to know, and I think everybody needs to know, after a 10-year drought, when nobody was doing any kind of drilling, and everybody was surviving, so those organizations were already on the downturn. Factor in COVID, it's going to take longer than usual. Oh, and let's not forget that how many drills are turning,
Yeah.
especially in the Abitibi, right? I mean, Agnico's got eight, Windfall's got
Yeah,
20 or
some
30. They like to boast and fall. I mean, who doesn't have a rig
yeah.
turning in the
No, good,
Abitibi?
very good point. And the only question now in terms of timing, like when you get those results back, you got to wait for the ground to thaw anyway, right? So, let's say
Yeah.
realistically, you get your results back in, I don't know, 8 weeks. Good case scenario. That puts us at the end of April. Yeah, roughly April. When could you start mobilizing your rig and start drilling? Then June. Yeah.
Yeah, well, as soon as
Okay.
breakup is done. So end of
Gotcha.
May,
Okay.
early
No.
June. Yeah. And yeah, and no shortage of
Awesome.
targets for
All right.
us.
Quick. Just to put a bow around it, real quick. Catalysts. I'm assuming, of course, drill results. Anything else that we should be looking out for as investors?
Well, the people continue to present us with opportunities to acquire more ground. As I mentioned, we've got a very large piece of ground with a lot of targets on it that we haven't explored. But no, there right now
Yeah.
it's drill results and how we're going to go about financing the next
Awesome.
round.
And yeah, really appreciate you coming on. This was really insightful. It was great to have you on and talk about Warrior Gold and your opportunities there in the Kirkland Lake district. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks, Kai. Nice to see you, and
Thank you.
happy birthday.
Everybody else, thanks for joining us on this Discovery Thursday. Warrior Gold, small company, and we like to highlight those companies before they make a big discovery, before they have a massive run up. This company only has a 10 million market cap, so I'm quite excited to be introducing this one today. Hope you like what Danielle said, and I'm not going to give a buy or sell recommendation, but I personally like Danielle, so I hope she has success with her drill program. The results come back positive, obviously. Make sure to follow us on YouTube, follow us on Twitter, hit that little like and subscribe button, turn on that bell icon as well. That way you get notified when we go live. As I said before, we do all our interviews live. That way you do have that edge over other investors. Make sure you use that and be ahead of the crowd. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll be back actually at noon PST, so 12 PST with Barksdale Resources and Rick Trotman.